Welcome to Mode Bespoke. I'm Atenas, and today we're going to be crocheting these reusable produce bags. So let's get started. So we're going to be making these reusable produce bags. So if you don't want to use any of the plastic bags when you go to the grocery store or when you go to a farmer's market, you can just use these. For these, we're going to use a very fine cotton. So you can use crochet thread. If you've never used crochet thread before, I would go with a size 3. It's a little bit thicker. Or you can use a very fine number 1 yarn. You're also going to need a 2mm hook. Now I'm going to be working on this slightly bigger one a little bit further along in the video, but there are 2 sizes for these. You can adjust these to make them in any size you want, but we're going to talk about the 2 sizes. So this one's the small one, and then this one is for things like lemons or ginger or something you don't buy a lot of. This one is for bigger things like your apples or anything like that. They do stretch a lot. So I'll show you at the end of the video. I can fit about 9 or 10 apples in the large bag, but we'll see that a little bit further along because yeah, they stretch quite a bit. So I would suggest just starting with one of the 2 stitch counts first and then adjusting it to suit your needs after, just so you have a general idea how many fruits and veggies it fits in here. So these are just produce bags. We are using a thin cotton yarn for this, so it will not hold a lot of weight. If you're looking for a market bag, I have 2 tutorials up. One of them will create a bag like this one, only much larger, and that I'm going to link it down in the description box below. I also have one in Tunisian crochet, which I will also link down below. So let's get started with these bags. So we're going to begin with a very fine yarn. So you can use a size 1 fingering yarn or you can use crochet thread. I'm also going to be using a 2mm hook. So in order to make this tutorial a little bit easier for everybody to see, I'm just going to use a thicker yarn and a larger hook so everyone can see the stitches. So to begin, we're going to need a slip knot. So let me zoom in over here. So to start your slip knot, you just wrap the yarn around 2 fingers and you're going to insert your hook into the loop, grab the yarn that's back here and pull that through. There we go. And then just tighten the knot by pulling on the 2 threads of yarn at the bottom. So this pattern is worked in multiples of 4. So to make the small bag, you're going to chain 40. To make the large bag, you're going to chain 60. So just continue to make your chain. I'm going to make a small sample chain here, also worked in multiples of 4, just to show you how we're going to work the stitching and to make the tutorial go along a little bit quicker. But once you have completed your chain, again, it's 40 stitches for the small bag and 60 for the large bag, we're going to begin the netting part of the bag. And for that, I just like to pinch this last stitch of the chain just so that I know where I'm going to begin my first stitch. And then you're going to begin with a chain of 5. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you're going to insert your hook into that stitch you were pinching. And if you didn't do that, it's going to be, let's count these stitches. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to be stitch number 6. So on the 6th stitch from your hook, you're going to insert your hook and you're going to crochet a single crochet. So yarn over and pull your hook out. That's going to leave you with 2 loops on your hook. And now you're just going to yarn over and pull through both. So there's 1 single crochet. And now you're going to chain 5. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to skip 3 stitches. And we're going to single crochet into the 4th. So skip 1, 2, 3, and on stitch number 4, we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then we single crochet. So yarn over, pull through 2. And now we are going to chain 5. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to skip 3 stitches, and on stitch number 4, you're going to insert your hook, and you're going to yarn over, you're going to pull up a loop, and then you're going to single crochet. So yarn over and pull through both of those loops. Chain 5. And then skip 3 and single crochet into stitch number 4. So we got one more left to do here before we're at the end of the row. So we're going to have 3 stitches left here at the end of the row. So we're just going to chain 5. And we are going to insert our hook into that very last stitch of the chain. So it is going to be stitch number 3. So it's 1, 2, 3. Just insert your hook into that last stitch of the chain. And then yarn over, pull up a loop. And this is what it's going to look like so far. And now we're going to work on the other side. So we're going to chain 5. So 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to single crochet into the same stitch that we had a single crochet in the last row. So we're going to turn the work around so that we're looking at it like this. We're going to single crochet into that same stitch. So skip that first one. It's right here. We're going to single crochet into the same stitch that we had a single crochet in the previous row. So yarn over, pull up a loop, and single crochet, and then we just chain 5. And then we're going to go to that next single crochet, so right in here, and we're going to single crochet right in there. And then we chain 5. We look for that single crochet right there, and we're going to single crochet into that same stitch, and then we chain 5. So once you get to the end of the bag, it's going to look like this. You're going to have this little loop here, and that's just a chain loop. You're going to insert your hook right into that chain space. So right in that little loop here in the center. So just insert your hook and single crochet. And that's going to be the end of the bottom row. There you go. So this is what our work is going to look like so far. So now, the rest of our project is going to be really easy, and all you have to do is just the netting part. So you're going to chain 5 and then single crochet, chain 5, single crochet all the way around. So we begin with that chain 5, and you're going to go into this next chain space. So this large one, you've already worked into this little one. So skip the little one, go into this large one right next to it. Just insert your hook into this large chain space right here. And that's where you're going to single crochet. And now you just chain 5, go into this next chain space right here, insert your hook, and single crochet. And then chain 5. And that's all there's to it. You just keep working around into these chain spaces until you work the bag the size that you want it. So I'll do a few more just so you can see. So we got a single crochet, and then once we're here at that end, so here's the other side of the bag, you just chain 5 and single crochet into that chain space. So right in here. And that's it. And now you're just going to work in continuous rounds until you've completed the length of the bag that you want. So here, let me zoom out a little bit. Let me show you what the bag is going to look like after you've worked several rows. So here's my large bag, and I've just continued to work this same pattern over and over. And as you continue adding rows, your work is going to curve up. So right now, it lays pretty flat. So see, that's how it lays. As you add rows, the sides of the bag will start to come up. So it may take a few rows before you start to notice that the bag is actually folding in and creating an actual bag. Once you have completed the bag and you've reached the length that you want, and I'll give you the length that I have here. So this is the length that you're going to see in the pattern. So mine is about 8 inches, which is about 20.3 centimeters. And that's just in length. And remember that these stretch a lot. But if you want to add more length, you can. And then in width, it's about 8.5 inches. So 21.6 centimeters. Now, the small bag and this is the one that you started with a chain 40, is about 6 1/4 inches or 15.8 centimeters. And then in length, it's about 6 3/4 inches or about 17 centimeters. So that's the small bag. But adjust it to however it is that you want to adjust this. So now we're going to work on the little edge. So this is the very top. So right up here. And this part is quite easy. All we're going to work are some single crochets. Now, if you want to switch colors, I just happened to run out of the cotton yarn, so I had to switch yarns in order to finish the bag. But if you want to switch colors, all you do, here, let me find my knot, is just knot the two colors together. And then if you want to leave some longer tail ends so that you can weave that in, that is definitely an option. But make a little knot right here, and then once you switch colors, you can just continue the rest of the pattern. All right, so let me set up my hook. And I will finish this last single crochet. So when you're ready to add that edge, let me zoom in. We are going to work 5 single crochets into those chain spaces. So just like how we worked our single crochet in the one right next to it, we're going to work 5 of them. So you don't have to stop at any particular point. Just stop whenever you reach the length that you want for your bag. And then in that chain space, we're going to make 5 single crochets. So 4, and then here is 5. So once you've got your 5 single crochets, go into the next chain space, and you're going to repeat that. So skip that single crochet, work right into the chain space, and work 5 single crochets into that same stitch. Here we go, 5. We skip the single crochet, go into the next chain space, and we're going to single crochet 5. And that's going to create a nice little edge for our bag. And then you're just going to work the same thing all around. So just 5 single crochets in each of the chain spaces. I'm going to continue working on this until I make it all the way around, and I'll see you again in just a moment. Once you've worked the single crochets all the way around, you're going to insert your hook into this very first stitch of the 5 single crochets that you did at the very beginning. And we're going to slip stitch. So yarn over, pull up a loop, and you're going to pull the top loop through the bottom loop to slip stitch, and then just chain 1. And that's going to make a nice little knot here at the bottom. And you're going to cut a fairly long tail end of yarn. There we go. You're going to pull your hook out along with the yarn. Go and tighten that up just to make sure that that knot is nice and tight. And grab your yarn or tapestry needle. And then you're just going to weave in your ends. So going on one side, and then going to the other side. And just continue weaving this in until you've hidden all of this little thread of yarn. Once you've woven in your ends, we have to do that top thread so that we can close our little market bag. So I'm just using some of my leftover yarn, and this is just a size 4 yarn, so this is going to be a lot larger than the yarn I used to make the bag. You're going to measure so that you can get all the way across the bag, and you're going to leave a little tail end. So loop it around so that you have an entire loop. It goes all so that it can go all the way around the bag. And then you're going to cut your thread here. And then you're going to pull that through your stitching. So you're just going to weave it through. I'm going to work in that second row from the top. So I'm just going to insert the yarn on through one stitch and pull it out through the other. And then insert the yarn in one stitch and pull that out through the other. Then in one stitch, out the other. And I'm going to continue to do this until I've made my way all around the bag. And once you've made your way completely around the bag, you're just going to knot the 2 threads of yarn together. And then when you tie your bag, just make sure you pull on your yarn so it's nice and tight. And you're going to wrap it around the bag itself and then just tie a loose knot. That way you can open your bag later when you get home. So now for the little bag, so this is just so you can kind of see what fits in here. So these are just four lines I've got. And as you can see, it is quite stretchy. So I can fit many, many more, but this is the small bag. So this is the one that we did that chain 40 for. Now for this large bag, I've got a bunch of apples here, just to kind of show you how many of these fit. So here's the size of this apple. I'm just going to fill the bag with a few of these. So here we go. 8 and 9. So here I've got 9 apples. So that's the size of the large market bag. So once I've tightened up the knot, or I tightened up the top of the bag, I can just knot it right here. And there we go. So there's my little produce bag. So I hope you give these little reusable produce bags a try. But if you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you'd like to see some more of my work, you can check out my Instagram page. For the written pattern and many other patterns, you can check out my website, and that's modebespoke.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next tutorial.